All right, so I know this has to be talked about, and it's been like 3 days since all the news has come out, and everybody's been like, what do you think? What do you think? We got to talk Linkin Park. And I will fully admit, for those of you watching on YouTube later, hello Twitch chat, we're filming this live on Twitch. The thumbnail of this video that you're about to see is absolutely clickbait. We were just talking about it on stream. Like, every person that's talked about this or done a video on this or a reaction or whatever so far has done like the crazy shocked face, like the, you know, new Linkin Park. So I figure let's just make me look disappointed. But before we really dive into this, I have to address something. And I'm going to absolutely fully admit, and I do this, I have no problem doing this. I was wrong. I was 100% dead wrong about this situation. For anybody that watches the channel, a few months ago, you may have seen a video we did talking about this situation because Jay Gordon of Orgy had done a podcast and said, you know, in a really weird way, like, well, I heard that Linkin Park's gonna have a new singer and it's female, but don't quote me. I don't know, man. Like, and we kind of, I watched it and I was like, I just don't see this happening, let alone with like a female vocalist in that band. It's nothing against female vocalists. You guys know me well enough to know that that has nothing to do with it. It's just the music itself. Like, I can't even imagine who it would be replacing Chester if they have a female vocalist. I can't even imagine who it would be if they had a male vocalist replacing Chester. I think this whole thing is bullshit, to be 100% honest with you. I really do. Okay, so let's just look in the camera right here. I was wrong. It happens. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. So obviously Jay Gordon did have some insider information at that point because everything he said has come to be true. Unless you're sleeping under a rock, living under a rock, whatever you choose to say. In the last 48 hours, actually, I think it was yesterday. No, it was 2 days ago from the time we're recording this. Linkin Park has made announcements. They played a live show with a brand new singer, a brand new drummer that nobody's talking about, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. They announced a new album, a tour, like they're going full bore with this. But I've stayed away from everything as much as I could for the last couple days because I wanted to talk about this with you guys in the moment. And I want to watch this song because I haven't even seen it yet. Okay, so we just watched the official music video. No live things that they did or anything like that. And yeah, there's a lot on my mind about this. Honestly, right away, I gotta say, I was one of those people that is just like, dude, you can't put anybody else in this band instead of Chester. Like, you just can't. So I was trying to go into this like with an open mind, even though I did fully expect that younger part of my brain, like from when I was a teenager, being like, it's not Chester, I can't handle this. All of that aside, the song was way better than I thought it was going to be. It's actually a really, really good song, I think. It's very well written. It'll probably make a great radio single just because it's got a big chorus. It's very simple and to the point. There's no like extended long bridges or anything. It's just verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, all the way back and forth. It is a solid song. And her voice works with this sound really well, actually. You can tell right off the bat that it is Linkin Park production. Like, if you would have showed me that and didn't tell me what it was, I would have been like, okay, this is Linkin Park. For sure, obviously. And then her voice comes in, you're like, oh, like, but her voice works really well with it. I am familiar with who she is. Again, we will talk about that and deep dive into it more after we watch some of the music. But the thing for me that I'm curious about is, yeah, writing new music, they're going to write around her voice. They're going to make it sound really, really good. But I'm really curious to see how it's going to sound with her trying to sing some of the older stuff. And I think that is when it's going to be hard for people like me or other diehard fans to maybe separate the fact that it isn't Chester anymore. Because listen, I will fully admit, like, this happens, dude. When some famous singer passes away or leaves a band, like, there are fan bases that are like, it's going to be impossible to replace this person. But it's been done more times than we can count. I mean, people thought replacing Bon Scott and AC/DC was going to be impossible. There have been so many bands that have carried on with larger than life singers whose voices were so unique and so a part of that music that people thought it wasn't possible, and they've carried on with it. So I will go into this with a very open mind, but I do want to check out her singing one of their older songs that Chester was known for. Okay, so we just watched the performance of One Step Closer from their live stream, and also the bridge of Bleed It Out, the chorus and the bridge, just so I could hear her screams and stuff like that. The first thing I noticed immediately was, I don't even have to double check and look. I know Those songs are tuned up a half step from how they are in the album and how they performed them with Chester. However, I have no problem with that. There are so many bands that do that live. I already know, I've seen comments on the internet where people are like, oh, she can't sing like Chester, they had to change the songs. No, dude, everybody has different ranges and different vocal abilities, and bands, even with the singers they recorded with, change all the time live. Sabaton is one I can think of off the top of my head immediately. Sabaton has had the same singer their entire career, but when they play live versus their albums, they often change the tunings just so it's easier to deliver. So I have no problem with that at all. It was noticeable, but I don't think that should be an issue. I know there are probably going to be some people that if they've listened to enough of the albums and stuff like that over the years, in their brains, they might be like, oh, this sounds kind of weird, but this is a thing. Like, bands do this all the time. So it's not a unique thing to her not being able to sing Chester's parts. Bands do this all the time. The other thing that I thought of right off the bat too was just putting myself in her shoes. Dude, she had to be so nervous about that. Like, to step on that stage and replace Chester, who you gotta admit, like, any singer that this band could have found would have known how big of shoes those were to fill. I mean, she's nervous as fuck. So to be able to actually deliver well is very impressive. If anybody has any doubts in her vocal ability and stuff like that, I would say give her a little time to settle in, and I bet it's probably going to be perfected. You know, a lot of the comments I've seen online are just saying like they can't get over that it doesn't sound like Chester, and I'm like, yeah, because it's not Chester, dude. Again, like I said earlier, I am one of those people that it was like, this is gonna be strange because I'm so used to Chester. There was a part of me that thought that maybe they probably should have changed their band name at first, but then I kind of started thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? That's kind of stupid to think like that, for me at least, because in the music industry, there's always somebody in each band that is kind of like the leader of the band. They take care of all the business for it. It's really their band. And I think it's no secret for anybody that follows Linkin Park. They know that it's Mike and Joe. So they have every right to continue on Linkin Park however they want to. And it doesn't need to be the same. Other people were also saying, you know, she won't be able to scream good parts and stuff like that. I thought she sounded good screaming. It was different, obviously. One of the big things for me, and this is going to go back to her being nervous and having time to settle in with the band. I actually just said to Claire the other day, my wife, for anybody that doesn't know, Chester's voice was one of those voices that not only is his voice unique and good and stuff, but like, you can hear the emotion in it. And that is very hard for some singers. Like, there are singers out there that can scream their faces off and sing their faces off, but they sing well and scream well, but you don't hear the emotion in the voice. And Chester had that. That's what made him very special. You can hear, even when he's screaming, just every emotion he was feeling while he was singing. I think it'll take some time on this for her to probably settle into that, especially with the songs that she's playing that she was never a part of before. Like, of course, she's not going to have those same emotions because she didn't write those songs and those lyrics. But who knows? Maybe with the new stuff that they're working on when we get this new album, you may hear that same emotion. I don't know. These are just the thoughts that are in my head right now. Overall, I'm impressed. I'm happy for her. I'm happy for the new drummer. It's kind of cool to see this continuing on in one point. On the other hand, there is a part of my mind that was wondering, is this just kind of some cash grab? Because obviously we saw the original drummer didn't come back. Mike even said he hasn't been tight with them for a while. So I wonder if he, like, I don't know what's in his head, but maybe he didn't want to be a part of it because Chester wasn't there. The rest of the guys wanted to. I don't know. These are all just things that are coming into my head. Frosty just said this is a very safe reaction. I will fully admit this is a different reaction than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to be one of those typical Linkin Park older fanboys that grew up on Hybrid Theory and Meteora that was going to come in here and just fucking hate every second of this. And I actually don't. Is it different? Absolutely. Does it feel a little weird? Sure. Of course it does, but that's fine. It doesn't need to be the same. There is going to be a special place in my heart where for older Linkin Park, where that's what I'm going to want to listen to, of course, because of nostalgia and what I grew up on. And I miss Chester's voice, man. Like,
am I supposed to say, that's okay, I don't mind? I don't mind.
Yeah. I was listening to Linkin Park in the car the other day because a song came on shuffle, and I actually, like, Claire noticed. Like, I had my sunglasses on, and Claire noticed that I was like, I had like a tear going down my cheek because it's fucking hard, dude. Like, that was a singer who for people my age and those of you that are watching that are my age, like going back to his emotion and his voice and stuff, like that guy touched our souls with his voice, dude. So it is hard to not hear him with this band. It is very, very, very hard. But things change, things evolve. Things go on. We're always going to have the music that Chester was a part of. And I'm honestly happy for these guys to move on and see what they can do. Yeah, as Curry Sox just said, it's a new era for the band. That's all. There's going to be a Chester era. Now there's going to be an Emily era. And speaking of that, let's actually talk about the new members really quick, because there is already a lot of stuff going on with it. So the new vocalist, if you're not familiar, is named Emily Armstrong. Most notably the vocalist for a band from LA called Dead Sarah. I will fully admit I'm not like super familiar with their music, but I have heard their music, so I knew she had a good voice. I had no doubts that she'd be able to do her thing well. What's crazy is I just pulled up her Instagram, and within 48 hours, her Instagram followers have gone up by over like 300,000, which I think we all kind of expected was going to happen. And I was reading a lot of interviews with like Mike. You know, he was saying that over the last few years, like they've done a lot of sessions with people, with different vocalists. And he said Emily was the first person that when she was singing Linkin Park songs, he was like, wow, this actually like sounds like Linkin Park to me. She's the only singer that performed sessions with us where it actually, this feels like Linkin Park. So it's very cool, man. I saw a lot of people hating on the pick, saying like it should have been auditions and somebody random, and like, who cares? Who cares if it's somebody random? Who cares if it's somebody that's already super famous, which, I mean, she wasn't super famous, but they picked the voice that they thought was best for Linkin Park. Now, in typical internet fashion, there's already a lot of stuff going on out there. Within hours of her being announced as the new singer for Linkin Park, people started digging into her past. And of course, there's a lot of rumors and stuff out there right now about her connections to Scientology and supporting Danny Masterson. If you don't know what I'm talking about with that, we're not going to talk about that on this stream, because YouTube and social media likes to shadow ban stuff that mentions certain things. But yeah, there were people accusing her of being a diehard Scientologist and supporting Danny Masterson through his trial, and he is now in prison. And so people have just been like going nuts about it, right? And in my head, I was like, you know, let's just pump the brakes for a second, you know, because listen, Linkin Park is not only a band, they are a business. Do you think that a band like this, with a legacy like this, that is this big, do you think they would have had her in their band without doing their due diligence? Absolutely fucking not. These guys did their due diligence on all of the new members and knew exactly what was going on. So, of course, all these people are already complaining about Linkin Park and all this other stuff, and like, oh, I can't believe you have this person in your band and stuff like that. So she finally made an announcement about it because people were questioning her ties to Scientology and Danny Masterson. And in a story on Instagram, she said, "Hi, I'm Emily. I'm new to so many of you, and I wanted to clear the air about something that happened a while back. Several years ago, I was asked to support someone I considered a friend at a court appearance, Danny Masterson, and went to one early hearing as an observer. Soon after, I realized I shouldn't have. I always try to see the good in people, and I misjudged him. I have never spoken with him since. Unimaginable details emerged, and he was later found guilty. To say it as clearly as possible, I do not condone abuse or violence against women, and I empathize with the victims of these crimes." And to her links with Scientology, that was the big tie, because Danny Masterson was a like diehard Scientologist. She was at a gala that Scientology, the Church of Scientology, put on like 11 years ago, and was in photos, and people are, you know, tying her to that and stuff like that. But from all the digging I did, she is never publicly associated with Scientology. So I don't know, maybe she's second generation, maybe she just got invited, didn't know, whatever. But from everything that she said, it was an honest mistake with being friends with Danny Masterson. She hasn't really addressed the Scientology stuff. And honestly, let's be honest. Who fucking cares? Seriously. There are so many different people around the world with so many different beliefs and so many different religious backgrounds. Why are we allowing that to be the one thing that we judge her off of? Yeah, I have my opinions on Scientology, and I think it's weird, but Who cares? Let people believe what they want to believe. She's obviously not pushing it on people if she's not publicly ever aligned herself with it. So whatever she does, whatever. I don't care. Like that thing doesn't bother me at all. People just want to get riled up about something, I think. So yeah, there's always going to be that now, you know, on top of her having to fill the shoes of Chester, which some people are going to never care about. Like they're never going to like give her the chance. I think she has one of the hardest jobs of any singer coming into a band to replace somebody like that we've seen in our lifetimes. Probably one of the hardest. And she is just going to be judged and shit on by tons of people no matter what she does. So, and why even waste your time being that negative? Like, who cares? Emily Armstrong joining Linkin Park doesn't affect any of our lives in any way. Really, it doesn't. So why get mad about it? Anyways, I digress from that point. Let's move on to their new drummer. Colin Brittain. Nobody has really been talking about this for some reason. I understand why, because all the focus is on Emily, but they have a new drummer, Colin Brittain. For anybody that's not familiar with Colin Brittain, he actually for the last like decade or so has been a pretty notable producer, audio engineer, songwriter. He's worked with a lot of bands too. He's done albums with Papa Roach, One OK Rock. He's done songwriting and production for All Time Low, A Day to Remember, even like some K-pop stuff that I'm just not familiar with. I know he's like very, very busy. And so I gotta assume at some point he worked with Linkin Park or met them through the music industry. I believe I saw Mike saying that like they did a session with him one time. And then when they were talking about new drummers, they just clicked with him and said, hey, come in and do this. The fun part about him too, he used to be in a band way back in the day called Oh No Fiasco. And my old band, Inept, actually played a bunch of shows with them. And about 15 years ago, Colin actually let my band crash at his house once when we were on tour. I don't really know. I don't know the guy well at all. I haven't spoken to him since then, but like, I found that kind of funny. I was like, wow, I've like crashed on his couch before. You know, one of the other things that I've seen is a lot of people online are like, wow, this is wild that they put this together like this fast. In the last couple months, they got a new singer, a new drummer, all this stuff. Guys, this wasn't a couple months. Like, there's no way. Like, I know this. Actually, let me preface this by saying, like, I don't know this because I know them or heard anything. I just know how this industry works because I've been around it for so long. There's no way that this all came together, even this year. Like, they have been working together in quiet for quite a while now. They've had to have been to get all of this stuff ready because, again, they've announced a brand new album that's going to be coming out very soon. A world tour, which I don't even want to make this video longer by diving into all that because everybody else has already covered this too. But like I saw that like Ticketmaster tickets are already just absolutely bonkers for that, which I can't imagine if they had dynamic pricing on for that. That's just probably insane. But I agree with Polka Metal in chat. Very impressive that they kept this under wraps because I've said to you guys many times, people in the music industry talk all the time. Like, when I say we, I mean people that tour and work in the music industry. We hear of stuff all the time that's going to happen before it happens. And 100% honesty, I had not heard one thing, not even a rumor or anything about this whole situation until it happened. So props to these guys and their team for keeping this entire thing under wraps this entire time. I mean, this was a huge announcement and way to do this. This was crazy. But anyways, this was like kind of a longer video. And again, like nothing scripted as most of my videos aren't. I just wanted to check this out in the moment with you guys and talk about this and stuff. And honestly, if it comes down to it, man, like, yeah, I'll check out the new album and stuff. And I'm happy for everybody involved. I'm happy. Yeah. Like imagine how the guys have got to be stoked to be playing music again as Linkin Park for sure. With the changes and everything, it's got to be a great feeling for them. So like I have no hard feelings, as I shouldn't, because I've never been a part of the band. I've just been a fan. And I personally don't think anybody else should too. I know there's going to be those people out there that will never accept this, no matter what. I do believe this is a new era of Linkin Park. This is like Linkin Park 2.0. I think you're going to often going forward hear people say old Linkin Park, new Linkin Park, referring to the Chester area and you know, the Emily era and stuff like that. But I hope it goes well for everybody involved, man. This could be very cool for people that never got to see the band live before. It's going to be different, of course, but I don't know. I just think there's too much hatred flowing with a lot of things nowadays. And like a band that you liked when you were younger, having a new singer should not be something that you should have animosity about. And I just I get really tired of seeing stuff on the internet about that kind of stuff. But anyways, guys, I'll throw some links in the description of this video if you want to check out like what we watched that I couldn't show and some other information and stuff like that. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. I'll keep my eyes on this. And yeah, you know, I guess we could say one more time for everybody out there that wanted me to say it. I was wrong. Linkin Park did replace the vocal spot with a female vocalist permanently, like full time. I thought it was just going to be like guest fill-ins and stuff. Anyways, for anybody watching on YouTube later, if you'd like to join us on Twitch when we talk about random music industry stuff, you can go to twitch.tv/TankTheTech. You can also keep up with me while I'm on tour. I post a lot on Instagram and other social media, and you can find me on just about everything at TankTheTech. But until next time, wherever you are in the world, be safe, be kind to each other. I love you all, and I will see you very soon.